Smart home products have increased in popularity in the last few years with the introduction of Amazon Echo, Apple Home, and Google Home. The intuitive voice control these devices provide make smart home products accessible and desirable to a much larger audience. Smart devices include things like locks, alarms, lighting, thermostats, fans, cameras, doorbells, and even refrigerators and other appliances. And today I'm installing a smart light switch. In my house, I'm using the Echo devices from Amazon, and I wanted to begin using them for more than just getting weather updates and playing music. So I purchased a couple of these smart light switches from TP-Link, and today I'm going to install this. This is their HS200 smart switch, and I just want to see how smart it really is. While this is a relatively simple installation, if you are not comfortable working with electricity and installing electrical items, hire a licensed electrician instead. The first thing you need to do is go to your breaker panel and flip off the switch to the circuit where you will be working. Make sure the light is actually off before you do any work. And I'll say it again, if this is too scary or if you don't feel comfortable, hire an electrician. The first thing you need to check before you buy any of these switches is whether or not the wall box where you want to replace your light has a neutral wire available. The neutral wire is required for these switches to work. First, remove the faceplate. Using a flathead screwdriver, remove the faceplate from the switch. Then, using a Phillips head screwdriver, remove the actual switch from the wall box. Carefully pull the switch out and look for the neutral wires. The neutral wire is normally a white wire, but may be another color. It will be sitting disconnected from the mechanical light switch that you are removing, typically with a wiring nut holding it together. So in my case, I have the neutral wire here already installed and waiting to be used. It's got the wire nut on it. And I of course have the line itself, the hot wire, and the ground wire is this exposed copper wire. TP-Link has their Kasa line of smart products. And to go with this, they have the Kasa app available to download on Apple and Android devices. This app provides step-by-step illustrated instructions for installing their entire line of smart devices. So it's very handy to follow right along on your phone at the location where you're actually performing the installation. So here's the actual light switch, and it's a very simple design, clean design. This has a large button on the front here, and you can hear it's clicking, and so there's no on or off position. It's just you press it once, the device would know if it was on to turn off. If it's off, it would turn back on. And of course, if you're activating this by Wi-Fi, there is no switch position that would render it perhaps unable to come on if it was in the off position. So this is exactly what you need to operate in a device that is a Wi-Fi activated device. Now on the back we have 4 wires, and so the green wire is going to connect to my ground wire here, and then the white wire which is the neutral wire. I have a white to connect to that, and then my black, the live wire here, is going to connect to these 2 black wires which are providing the power. There are nuts that come with this that I'm going to use to connect these. I'm going to do that, and then we'll get this connected to Wi-Fi, and if everything works, we'll be in business. One thing before you begin your installation, you do need to actually remove this faceplate from the switch itself, and there are some little gripping plates or pieces on the back that popped out pretty easily, so not a problem. Now I can actually make the connections. First I'm going to disconnect the ground. In my case, the wires for the line, the hot line here, are pushed down into some holes, and then the light switch grips onto those wires. And so if you have that situation, you may need to come in here with a flathead screwdriver and push into this, and that will let you pull on and release the wire out of the light switch. And so in my case, there's a slot right here, a little hole where you would insert a screwdriver, flathead, or some other implement, and push on that, and that will make this line come out. All right, so I've got my wires loose. Everything's loose, and so I'm going to just continue connecting the black lines here. It should not matter which is paired with which. But electricians, feel free to make your comments below and correct me. I'm not an electrician, so your mileage may vary, and like I said, if you're not comfortable doing this, you want to hire a certified electrician. Okay, I got everything connected. Now I just have to push everything back into the box carefully, make sure there's enough room to actually get the switch in there. And then I'm going to screw this onto the existing box. And then I'm going to go turn my circuit back on so I can actually test the switch to make sure it works. You don't have to have it connected to Wi-Fi to be able to test the switch. It just functions as a switch if it's not connected to Wi-Fi. Okay, so I have the power switch back on. Just wanted to check to make sure this is actually connected, working properly. And you can see right now, or you may not be able to see, it's a little hard to see, but here there's a light underneath the plastic here indicating that this is on. It's blinking green and orange. And so if I press that button, the light comes on. So everything's working, at least in terms of the power is connected properly. And so now the question is, will it be able to connect to the Wi-Fi, because this is on the top floor of the house and the router is at the very bottom of the house. And so hopefully it's going to work. If not, I'll have another solution for that. Okay, so I got the switch back in the wall, and I've got the faceplate onto the switch. One thing to be careful about, if you put the switch too far into the drywall, the faceplate will not be able to grab on. There's a couple of little hooks on top and on the bottom of this faceplate that have to grab on to the switch itself. So if the switch is pushed too far into the drywall, the place where on the switch this would catch will be back behind the wall, and it won't be exposed enough to allow the faceplate to grab onto it. So you'll just have to watch for that. You may have to fiddle with it a little bit to get it right. So it's on. Now I got to make sure I can get it set and to connect to the Wi-Fi, and then I'll use the app to get it working with Amazon Echo. You'll need to download and install the Kasa app from wherever you get your apps for your particular phone. And so once you got that installed, you can just click here on the app itself, and you'll first see the screen where you'll see it says no devices yet. And if you look along the top here, there are different things you can do with this app, but the main thing that we're concerned with here in the beginning is just adding a device. And so the little arrow pointing up to the top right is actually pointing to that plus sign. So I'm going to tap on that, and it says at the bottom here, do you want to add a device or add a group? So I will add a device, and then you have a number of things here that you can do, things you can add. So you can see the Kasa line of devices here. You got cameras, smart plugs, smart lights, smart switches, etc. The thing I'm interested in today is a smart switch, and then There are 3 types of switches they have here. They even show you the model number. And so I'm doing the one here at the top. So I'm going to tap on that. And then it actually just sort of walks you through the process. So it's asking me if I installed the smart switch in the wall. Yes, I have. But if you clicked on not yet, it would just walk you through the setup procedure here. And so I'm just tapping through here. You can see it's really provides some great instructions. And of course you can do this on your phone. Very simple to carry this to the different places in your house where you're doing these things. It even tells you how to label the wires here in case you have a very complicated setup of wiring that might get lost in translation or lost as you take them out of the old hardware. So you may want to label things as you go. In my case, it wasn't necessary. But so anyway, that's sort of how they step you through that process. So I'm gonna go backwards and just go to the beginning. So I have installed the smart switch in the wall, so I'm going to tap on yes. And so I'm going to look here at the switch itself. And so the switch is blinking orange and green, so I'm going to tap on orange and green. And I'm going to say OK to that to enable location. So what's happening now is my phone is connected directly to the switch. It is logged off of my Wi-Fi, which is why I've switched over to this type of video recording here. And so what I have to do now is I've got to tell the switch which Wi-Fi network it should be connected to. And so my phone is looking at all the networks that are around me. And the problem is I do not broadcast my network ID. It's just a little extra level of security so you don't put your network ID out there to the world. If you are broadcasting your SSID, you would see it in this list, and it would be a very simple matter of just tapping on the network that you want to connect to, and then you would have to put in any credentials that you had for your network if you had to log in. But in my case, it's not here. And so I need to join other network. So I will enter my network name here, and then I will put in my password. Once it has that information, it tells the switch that information so that it knows how then to log into the network within the house here, the Wi-Fi network. From that point forward, it will be logged into the network and always available for control by any devices inside the house. So I will enter my information now and go to the next step. I have my network name and my password entered, and I'm going to click join. And so what's happening now is the smart switch is being connected to the Wi-Fi here in the house. And that way the switch itself can communicate correctly with the Wi-Fi and be controlled by devices inside the house. Now you have to name your switch. And so in this case, I'll just tap there on the device name, and I'm going to call this Nerds Room. All right, and I'm going to tap next. And you can choose the icon that you want this to be represented with within the app. So it's a switch. I'll just tap this first one here on the top left, and I'll save that. And that's it. I've configured the light switch. So here you can see I'm still in the Kasa app, and this is actually a list of any smart switches or other devices that you have. If I tap on this little green power button, I just turn the light off in the room, and if I tap it again, that turns the light on. So that's works quite well. You could do that from anywhere in the world if you needed to turn a light on, and you could even set up pre-programmed times for the lights to go on and off. So if you're away, you want to make sure the house looks like someone's there, you can easily do that. And that's all I got to do with the Kasa app. So the next thing you want to do is make sure this smart switch is recognized by the Axle software if you're using Amazon's Echo products, or if you're using Google Home or Apple Home. You want to make sure the smart switch is recognized there. Now, I don't use the Google Home or the Apple Home. I have Axle, so I can show you how to make sure or verify that the switch is within your Axle software. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to tap on the Amazon Axle icon. These screens may be changed depending on what Amazon, where they are in the development process. So you may see something slightly different. So I'm going to just tap here on devices, and I want to add a device. So I'm going to tap the plus sign in the top right and then click on add device, and it will give you some popular brands. Kasa is one of these, and so you can just tap that icon there. And so it tells you, gives you some instructions on how to connect the TP-Link Kasa app to, or device and the app to Axle. I've already downloaded the app, so I've already set up the device here, so that's done. Step 2 is done. And so now we're back to the Axle app, so I just need to press continue. And I need to enable the skill, the TP-Link skill, and so I'm just going to click enable to use, and it may require you to log in. And so in my case, I've already set this up once, so I just need to log in here to my TP-Link account. But you would need to do that. More than likely you've already done that if you've set up a device. And so you can see it has linked the accounts. All I got to do now is just close this window, and I can click on discover devices, and it will hopefully automatically find the new switch and any other devices that you may have set up in your house. And you'll find anytime you add a new device, it should automatically be found by the Axle app. So there you go, one switch discovered. And so I can set up the device. You can add it to a group, so it's possible to set up groups of devices that you want to control with a single command. And I'm going to just skip that for now. And so it says Nerd's Room is set up and ready to use. So it tells you here exactly how to use it. Just say Axle, turn on Nerd's Room, and the light will come on. Very simple, and that's all there is to it. And if I had additional devices, again, like I said, they would be added, discovered. Normally they get discovered automatically as you add those, and they get scanned through the system. So to demonstrate, Axle, turn off Nerd's Room. Axle, turn on Nerd's Room. Well, I've got the switch working. It's working without any problems. I didn't have to do anything with the Wi-Fi to get it working. If I had a problem with the device connecting to the Wi-Fi, I was prepared to either move the Wi-Fi router up a flight of stairs or actually add an extender, but that was not necessary. So thumbs up on that. The device connected to the Wi-Fi, and once that happened, it actually let me know that it needed to upgrade the firmware of the switch itself. So all these switches have firmware built in, and it can be updated as the manufacturer updates that. So that was a simple process. I'm really happy. My first smart switch seems to be smart, and I think you can do this without a whole lot of trouble. You can program your switches even remotely, turn them on or off. So in the past, if you've traveled and you've had a timer to turn lights on and off in your house, now you can even set up pre-programmed settings for when those lights might go on or off, and you could even turn them on or off anywhere in the world as long as you're connected to Wi-Fi. So this was a fun little project. I really am glad to see how this works, and hopefully you'll give it a try. Check out this TP-Link switch. There's several versions of this. So if you need a dimmer or if you need a three-way, that's available as well. They have other types of products too. So I'll have some links for those in the description below. And so if this helped you, give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate that. And also subscribe if you aren't already. And be sure to tell your friends to check out the Nerd Sidekick, making you the technology hero. And I'll see you on the next video.